I gotta change my surroundings and everything that's around me.
What's good, my people? Welcome to another episode of the G Below Key podcast, where every day we progressing and every L is a lesson. Now, today I'm excited to do another episode. I feel this feeling of just inspiration, being inspired, and I hope that you guys enjoy this podcast today as well. Now we have a multitude of things to cover today, so I'm not gonna waste too much time. We're gonna get right into it. Um, Today I had a phrase instead of a word, and that phrase was "wake up or forever be sleep." Now you can take what you want from this phrase. Me, I take just coming to the realization like I have to do something. I have to make change to ultimately be the change that I want to see. I have to be the difference to I have to make the difference to in order to be the difference in the world, right? And how can I do all of these things if I'm constantly being asleep, or not literally, but just almost just being just blind to what has to be done, right? So I just feel like this phrase speaks volumes to that. At some point, we had to wake up or will forever be sleep and continue doing things a certain way, settling and being complacent. So I just feel like I wanted to run that by you guys, and just say, man, we just gotta wake up or forever be sleep. And keep having things going the same way that they've always been. Now, with that said, we're gonna get right into the podcast. Now, I am excited to announce the name change of the podcast. As many of you know, as you all know, the podcast is name is the G Below Key podcast, but I feel like that isn't doing the podcast justice because the G Below Key brand represents an individual or a group that's on the grind, but you straight action. You straight execution. You're not doing too much talking. You're not worried about the spotlight. You're not worried about the credit. You're just getting right to it. Hence, G Below Q. But I feel like with this podcast, that's not what the podcast is based on. The podcast, yes, that's a part of it, but the podcast is mainly based on how can we progress as people. Period. And I feel like the progression podcast is ultimately what I want it to be because I feel like that does it more justice than the G Below Key podcast. And plus, I don't want to just represent myself as I expressed in a previous episode. I want this podcast to represent us all, right? I want this to be a place where we have conversations, perspectives, and opinions, and you know what I mean, just based around progressing as people. And I feel like we can do that. It represents it more if it's the progression podcast. So as of today, moving forward, this will be the progression podcast where every day we progressing and every L is a lesson. Man, so yeah, I'm excited to see where we can grow, where we could take the progression podcast, formerly the G Below Key podcast. To new heights, and I'm like I said, I'm super excited about it, man, and I hope you guys um like the name change. Let me know what you think about the name change in the comments below, and yeah, we're gonna grow together. So yeah, with that being said, we're gonna get right into the podcast now. Something that I wanted to talk about today was subconsciously living and what can happen if we take more control with sound conscious decisions. And what I mean by that is I feel like I know for me sometimes I may subconsciously make a decision, right? Rather than making a conscious decision. Now, a lot of us we just going with the flow. We just winging it. We making decisions. We have certain thoughts that are subconscious because of what you may have been taught, what you may have experienced, your surroundings, certain behaviors that you witnessed, that you were taught, and you kind of just make subconscious decisions based on that rather than making your own conscious decision. So I just wanted to bring this up because I feel like something that's going to be a goal of mine and something that I'm going to do more is going to be making more conscious decisions rather than subconscious decisions. Um, because I know for me, man, I make a lot of subconscious um, decisions, have subconscious thoughts because of certain things that I was taught, certain behaviors and whatever the case may be that I've witnessed, and I'm not really putting a lot of effort into making a sound conscious decision, right? And that's something that I want to be better at. And I just feel like that's food for thought for you guys as well. And just really just think about that. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments below as well. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about was social media. What are the positives and what are the negatives? So I was talking to an OG and he was basically asking me like, how does Instagram work, right? And I started explaining to him the ins and outs about it. And I really didn't realize until I started explaining, like, yo, there's a lot, like, that's a lot, like, that comes with social media. Of course, you know, like the simple positives and negatives, like connecting with friends, connecting with people you don't know if you have a business per se, or just trying to, just network in general. Those are the positives, but then its negatives too, and I'm gonna speak on both of them. Right. So like for me being an artist, I know that I have to connect and have to market and promote myself a lot. And that's something that social media allows me to do. Heck, with the podcast, I'm able to, reach people that I may not have been able to reach just in person. It may come across their timeline on social media, and hey, that's a new supporter with the podcast or with the music. So that's definitely a positive. And like of course there's negatives, like with anything in life there are positives and negatives. I know what for me, I wanted to speak on experience of mine, which is a negative of social media, and it's just being exhausted with chasing popularity on social media, right? Because we live in a world to where everything is based on perception. You have to be perceived as this type of person or doing these type of things in order to garner a certain type of attention. And I feel like with me, I find myself oftentimes being exhausted with having to feel like I got to do this, I got to do that to garner attention, right? But I also know that that's anything in life. You want to be successful with anything in life, you're going to go through those times of being exhausted with the process, or what I mean, just being just tired, like yo, I feel like I'm doing so much, but I'm just exhausted, but that doesn't give me an excuse to stop. And I know I'm rambling a little bit because my initial point was just, what I mean, the positives and the negatives of it. But I feel like that was one of my negatives. It's just feeling like I'm exhausted from having to constantly just try to do this, do that, and the third for attention. And I just feel like that was a negative for me, but I'm definitely going to turn it into a positive and use it as a challenge, because I guess why I feel like it's a negative so much and feeling so exhausted is because it's a lot of artists, right? And I know I have to like separate myself from everything else. And I feel like it's rather than me looking at it as a negative, I'm just gonna turn it into a positive. Like, yo, I'm gonna take that as a challenge more than anything and separate myself, and rather than feeling exhausted from the process. So that's basically what I wanted to get at. With that. And I feel like also too, a lot of times we may subconsciously make decisions based off of Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of these things. Let's just all the social medias, because of what we see, rather than us being conscious and realizing like, yo, this is not reality. Some of it can be reality on social media, but you get what I'm saying. Like a lot of it is just perception and things that seem this way but aren't really what they seem. And I just feel like too much of it also can just ruin you sometime, and we had to just wake up and realize this, or we'll forever be sleep, like, to the fact of social media can take a toll on you if you let it, if you're not really using it for the positives rather, and you just always, what I mean, caught up in the negatives of it. So I just wanted to bring that up because I feel like all of these things tie in when it comes to social media. So I just wanted to speak on it. Now I will speak on it again, because I feel like there's some more positives and of course negatives, and I will speak on it again in another episode, but I just wanted to touch on that right away, as it pertains to social media. Now, another thing that hit me that I wanted to speak on was politicians playing with voters' emotions. Now, what I mean by this is a lot of times there's a lot of pandering going on out here, right? You may see politicians shoulder to shoulder with certain celebrities that they know a certain group of people are just in just have the most admiration for, right? And we keep falling for this over and over. Politicians know that they can do this because they know if we see one of our idols or somebody that we look up to with a certain politician, it may sway the way we live, right? It may sway not the way we live, but it may sway the way we go about voting. Um and subconsciously, I feel like we're making this mistake over and over because we think, oh, I seen such and such with this politician, so maybe they cool. Maybe that might need who I need to be voting for, rather than doing our due diligence and researching. Like, yo, I gotta make a conscious decision. What is the best for us all? Not just going off, oh, I seen my favorite celebrity hugged up or in a picture with this politician, so now they're gonna get my vote because I feel like that's the way I need to go. No, because what we're failing to realize, a lot of these celebrities, they may have their own personal agendas, and that's the reason that they trying to vote for this politician and that politician. You know what I mean? They not really caring about the people. Of course, you got your genuine celebrities that are backing certain politicians, and they got their own reasons as well. And they you know what I mean, they may do have other reasons that they think could benefit the people. So I understand it, but we still have to stop falling for these just tired lies and just BS, man, and just thinking that, you know what I mean, because we see celebrities or a politician may say something, and we think that they're for us. Like, take this as for example, right? Hillary Clinton, when she was running for president against Trump, what, 2015, she had that moment where she was like, she carries around hot sauce, or she just said something about, like, to the extent of like keeping the hot sauce, like keeping her hot sauce with her. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm getting tongue tied, but yeah, like the whole hot sauce situation, right? And a lot of group, like a large group of people was just like, oh man, Hillary, yeah, yeah, that's my Hillary, yeah, she cool, woo woo. And that was just, I really didn't dig that because I thought it was pandering. Like, this is just my opinion. I thought it was pandering. I was just like, I could see through that. You trying to, you know what group of people like hot sauce, bro, and that's what you trying to do. Like, you know what I mean? And I just feel like that's just a small example of pandering. Like, we see it over and over. They pander to a certain group of people, and we keep falling for it over and over, and letting them just, you know what I mean, win over our vote, when really they not really having no solid sound plans that they plan to do that's gonna benefit us. And yeah, I just wanted to bring that up and say we gotta stop falling for it. We gotta wake up, or we'll forever be sleep to their antics and that and to their pandering you know what I mean, ways. So let's just wake up and realize, you know what I mean, realize the lies, and make more conscious decisions. Now, with that being said, another thing that I wanted to speak on was Democrats and Republicans. A ignorant misconception that I felt like has been going on for forever has been that Democrats are for the people. And we all know, if you're black, you know, you may have been taught, yo, vote for Democrats because they are for the people. Listen, today I come to put this to bed. If you don't know, listen, Democrats and Republicans are the same. Let me say that again. Democrats and Republicans are the same. They all have they both have their agendas, you know what I mean? It's just business. And that's what we tend to forget a lot of times. It's all business. They're just going to do what's best for them as a business. And they don't really care about the people like that. And once we realize that, and start to move in a way of having our own independence, like, we're gonna just work as a community to do what's best for us, because we can't rely on these two parties over and over. When we continue to get a Democrat that we think is gonna benefit us, they get in the office and they do very bare minimal. You know what I mean? Like, they do the bare minimum. And we wonder why things keep going the way that it goes, because they're pandering to us. We fall for it, get them in office, nothing happens, and then we think, oh, well, the Republicans are not allowing them. Listen, they're the same. They are the same. And what we fail to realize too is the Democratic and Republican Party, they're not the only parties. they're not the only people that we can vote for. Yes, I know the obvious that they're the two main ones that they give the stage to. So, you know what I mean? Of course, we got to make a decision out of them. But if we start to put pressure on them, like, yo, we just going, you know what? Y'all don't do what we say, we not voting. So we just going we gonna focus on our community and do what we can to help our own kind. And we're not gonna be relying on this government because we see that you guys keep playing with us. Y'all pander to us to get our vote, and then we get you guys in here and y'all do the same old thing. And we just had to quit falling for it. So I just wanted to bring that up to say that that is a misconception. Democrats and Republicans, they are the same. So let's stop feeling like one of them are going to benefit us when both of them are really one. That's just my opinion. You guys may feel differently. If you feel another way, let me know in the comments. Put me on game to how you feel. But I feel, in my opinion, they are the same. Neither one of them has a true intention on benefiting us as a people. And until we come to the realization of that, we're just gonna see the same results. Um, and you know what I mean? It's just a lot of pandering. Also, another thing I wanted to speak on as far as pandering. Let us stop falling for the NBA and the NFL just because they paint Black Lives Matter on the court, and you know what I mean, have the players wearing these shirts, and you know what I mean, making statements like, yo, we are deeply saddened by the events going on, and we side with the players and their efforts and decisions to stand up for change and all this. Yes, the conversation is good, and yes, on surface it looks good. Oh man, the NBA, they're supporting the players. Oh man, the NFL said they're gonna allow kneeling. Oh man, the NFL says they're gonna paint Black Lives Matter or a black fist on the field. It's cool on the surface because it sounds good. And don't get me wrong, I don't wanna bash them as saying like this is not good. It is good because it brings up the conversation, it brings awareness to what's going on, but it's also pandering. Let's just keep it real. It's business. What do we expect them to do? They want to keep that money coming in because they know if these black players ever gain the, you know what I mean, just they get that. What word am I looking for? If the players just really just come to the realization that they truly have the power and they stop playing, NBA, NFL, done just like that. You know what I mean? So they're gonna do anything to keep them players playing. They're gonna do anything to keep us watching. Oh man, look, man, we gotta paint Black Lives Matter on this court. Do right. If that we gotta do to keep this money coming in, keep to keep the viewership, keep these players happy. Do it. I don't care if we really feel like that or not. And they're just pandering to us, man, and we fall for it over and over. Oh man, they bagging us. Truly, they're not. It's business. And once we realize that it's just business, and say, you know what? Y'all just keep y'all business over there, and we're gonna keep our business over here and do what we gotta do to help our own kind because you guys are gonna keep doing it forever. And it's being shown to us right in our face, like, yo, we really don't care about y'all, but we're gonna do whatever to keep this money going. What I said in the last podcast, man, like America don't respect nothing but money, the loss of it, the gain of it, and violence. Like those are like the main things that America respects. So until we start affecting that money, we're gonna keep having to do what they say and accept what they keep giving us. You know what I mean? And I just feel like I wanted to speak on that because pandering is something that corporations, politicians, the world even, it just does over and over, and we keep falling for it. And so I just wanted to speak on that, man. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about is why are blacks always condemned but are the most needed? Now, when I say that we're the most needed, I'm talking about a variety of things from entertainment, in politics, um, culture. The list goes on and on. Blacks are always condemned for being looked at a certain way or doing things, when ultimately America, for one, plays a big role in why. Um, I want to choose my words wisely here. Why certain actions are done. Not, and I'm not even going to say just black people, but people period. But we tend to always be condemned. We're the only group who always gets condemned for for doing certain actions, or you know what I mean, having certain cultures, right? But yet we are needed. We are always needed to, when it comes to what's cool. Black people always on top of that, on what's cool in the culture, up to date, being up to date on things. You know, we always pushing the culture forward. We always, you know, we bring you the dopest things in the world, but yet we are condemned. But we are the most needed, because without us, man, like, what would the world be? Where would America be? Please tell me. Like, I just feel like, man, we are always condemned, but we are the most needed. Now, I will speak on that again, because I don't feel like I'm gonna do it justice with just saying that and leaving that alone. So that will be a topic that I'm gonna speak on again. So y'all just be on the lookout for that topic. Now, I want y'all to think about that too, and let me know in the comments too if you guys got some thoughts about that, on why are blacks always condemned but are the most needed. I want to hear what y'all got to say about that. Now, um, what I said next was being bad. Okay, I touched on that with the whole pandering thing. So now I'm gonna just excuse me, y'all. I kind of got my notes rambled a little bit. You know, the most popular. Okay, so look, another thing that I thought about too is realizing our power, right? I feel like, in my opinion, as a black race, we are the we have like a amazing power of overcoming, um just having just the strength we have, right, and we possess, but we don't recognize it. It's almost like, the kid who was always being bullied and didn't really know he had the strength and the courage to stand up to the bully, until one day he just smacked the mess out the bully, or just ended up just going berserk on the bully. And then he recognized, or she recognized, like, yo, I'm not going for it no more. Like, I really got the power. I really got the courage to stand up to anything, stand up to anyone. And I feel like this relates to us as black people. We got the courage, we got the strength to stand up, man, and overcome. And we have to recognize that, because this is something that I feel like we just keep constantly um being sleep on. Like, we not realizing, like, yo, we got the power to stand up, we got the power to do what it is that we want to do. We just got to recognize it, and we can't go looking for that from everybody else. You know what I mean? We can't be expecting that for everybody else to recognize it if we don't even recognize it ourselves. So I just wanted to bring that up. And I'm gonna round the podcast off and end it here with this last topic. So as you guys may be noticing, that it's a whole new setup. I really plan on taking the podcast to a whole nother level, with more guests, just the presentation of it. Um, Now, you guys may see this picture on the screen. It's probably a little awkward to y'all, but I'm over here experimenting, because I got like this new software that I'm using with the podcast. So I've been over here just wrecking my brain trying to try to figure it out. But it's all for the better of the podcast. But like I said, for the next few episodes, man, I'm gonna be having guests. If you want to be a guest on the podcast and have a conversation with me, talk about certain topics, do not be afraid to connect with your boy. Let me know in the comments below, because I'm going to have different guests on very soon. I'm super excited about it, to just to not to be the only voice for the unheard, but to have others speak as well. And yeah, like I said, I've been wrecking my brain over here with the software, figuring out how to do that, and I figured it out. So that's going to be a more common thing on the podcast, seeing other people and seeing more perspectives, and just seeing how we can progress as people, as a whole, you know. So I just wanted to say that this has been a great dope episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Man, and we just expect more, 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 and more. Now, this has been another episode. Well, I can't say another episode of the Progression, because this is the debut episode of the Progression Podcast, formerly known as the G Below Key Podcast. Um, And yeah, so this is the first one. And yeah, just expect greater things. And I'm kind of rambling now, and I'm gonna end it. So I thank you guys for tuning in to the Progression Podcast, where every day we progressing, and every air is a lesson. Um, thank you guys. Appreciate everything, and yeah, stay tuned. Expect more. It's your boy Warren, and I'm out.